Hi, I'm Connecticut personal injury lawyer Richard Hastings, and one of the types of cases we handle here at our office are dog bite cases. So one of the things I'm going to be reacting to today are movies involving scenes where there are dog bites, and I'll be reviewing them and then commenting on them. This is the 1963 movie of the Pink Panther starring Peter Sellers. In this scene, Peter Sellers is acting as Inspector Clouseau, who is attempting to catch an international jewel thief.
Does your dog bite?
No.
Oh. Nice dog. I thought you said your dog did not bite.
That is not my dog.
If you're over a certain age, you have seen this movie and you have seen this scene, and it's a comedy classic. So Inspector Clouseau quite naturally asks, before petting the dog, does your dog bite? And the merchant who is running the shop says no, and then the dog bites him and the merchant says, that was not my dog. So the interesting thing in Connecticut is we have a dog bite statute. And the dog bite statute, in most situations with limited exceptions, provides for strict liability on the part of the owner, or in this instance, the keeper of the dog. So for example, if you pay somebody to walk your dog, and if that person is walking your dog and the dog bites somebody, that person may have liability. If you're at somebody's house and they're watching a dog, much like it occurred in this movie, and the dog bites you, there could be liability on the part of the person that is watching the dog. So in this case, if this merchant owner was watching the dog and the dog bit someone, the merchant owner could be liable under certain circumstances for the bite that is inflicted upon the victim, even though that person does not own the dog. Great comedy bit, very interesting way of illustrating this very important issue in the law. This film is Mark Wahlberg's action comedy, Spencer Confidential, from 2020. He's an ex-cop who's on a mission to take down murderers of former colleagues of his. Wow. So that movie clip presents a lot of interesting issues. Again, in Connecticut, we have a dog bite statute, and there is strict liability unless you are teasing, tormenting, trespassing, or committing some other type of tort. And trespassing, as you would think this situation involves a trespass onto this person's land, there are certain circumstances where this would not be, or certain circumstances where something like this would not be construed as a trespass. So again, these facts have to be investigated. The interesting thing about this case is that he's attacked on somebody else's property. So even if it was determined that that was a trespass, once he left the property, the dog breaks through the gate and then attacks him again. So there could very well be a separate case that involves the attack outside of the property that's owned by the homeowner. The other interesting thing to keep in mind is if somebody is working, for example, a police officer, and they're attacked by a dog in a circumstance such as this, they would have available to them a workers' compensation claim, and then they could also have a third-party action against the homeowner or the owner or keeper of the dog. Interesting case, and it's fascinating that they have such graphic and brutal things in action comedy movies. And the other thing that strikes me is how much work must go into producing a scene like that, especially when you have, a dog that is trained to do these types of things. But interesting film clip that illustrates a lot of very nuanced issues that could exist in a dog bite case. This is Jane Levy in the 2016 horror film Don't Breathe. This clip involves a woman and her sister who break into a blind man's home to steal money that he has. Ooh. Ugh. So, I mean, another very interesting case. I mean, you have somebody who broke into a home. So if you're breaking into a home and a dog bites you, there's not going to be a case there. Then you have this person fleeing from the property, and the dog leaves their property and chases this individual and then bites this person. So another interesting kind of nuanced part of the case. I think at the end of the day that it would be difficult to prove liability here, given the fact that there was a crime that was perpetrated upon the homeowner, and then a continuation of that crime as the perpetrator leaving the property, not knowing what, if anything, they have on them. The other interesting thing I thought was that this breed is a Rottweiler, and it's my understanding that a Rottweiler instinctively will bite somebody and then will clamp down on them and apply a great deal of pressure. So it's not like they're multiple bites. You can tell from this movie clip what a terrifying experience it is if you are in fact chased by a dog and later attacked by a dog. This is a real video captured on a security camera showing a jogger out on a sidewalk going for a run. Wow. So that's a great illustrative video as far as things I see all the time. And that is, you know, people will come up to someone with a dog and say, "Can I pet your dog?" And immediately they'll go over and do that to the dog's face. And sometimes the dog gets spooked and the person is bitten. You have cases like this where somebody's jogging down the street and this dog comes out of nowhere, breaks off the leash, and then attacks this individual. And then there are other videos that you see of people with infants and young children that bring them around dogs, and then sometimes something horrible happens. So it's really important, and what this video shows is that you have to be very aware of your surroundings. And most of us think that dogs are friendly and playful, and most of them are. But occasionally you get a dog that's hyper-aggressive. And when you get a dog that's hyper-aggressive, something horrible could happen, especially if it's an elderly person or a young child. A dog like this, you know, with the power and size of that dog, could severely injure, you know, either an elderly person or a child, and could inflict some horrible wounds, not the least of which could be, you know, disfiguring scars and broken bones. So when you're out, when you're around dogs, when you're in the park, at the ball field, on the street, be aware of your surroundings. And be careful. You need to get in to see a Connecticut dog bite lawyer as soon as possible, because each of these cases have something kind of interesting about them. So it's better that you find out from the start about what's going on with your case, whether you have a case, who are the responsible individuals, and if there's any investigative work, to have that investigative work done as soon as possible so a determination can be made as to how you can best proceed with your case. Interesting films, and I enjoyed watching them.